Good morning, my name's Des Taylor and today we're going to fish the River Teme, which is a favourite river of mine, and we're going to be fishing for barbel, which is a favourite species of mine. I think it's worth mentioning at this stage how the barbel actually got in the River Severn and then finally into the River Teme. In about the mid-50s, the River Severn was stocked with barbel, and slowly but surely they spread the system. But they seemed to disappear till about the mid-60s, when the odd fish were being caught. I remember friends of mine at Hampton Lode catching fish up to about £6. Then the mid-70s to early 80s was what we call the Severn boom. Barbel were being caught almost everywhere, and massive catches were being caught. £100, £120, £200 were being caught. In fact, in matches, I think the record now is still £111 by Les Taylor, which was from that period of time. But what happened about 82, those catches started to decline. The barbel started to spread south of the river, and they got to the city of Worcester. Now, the city of Worcester, the Teme runs in. And this river, slowly but surely, the barbel spread up the river, and then to this day, the big barbel of the lower Severn still use this as their spawning grounds. They've spread right up the river. In fact, although there's a lot of medium-sized fish in this area, as we go farther up the river, we get fewer barbel, but because there's fewer, we can get bigger barbel. Even tributaries of this river, like the River Ree, holds barbel. So now we have a system completely full of barbel. And to be honest, I'm glad, because they're such an exciting species. But enough of the chat. Let's put some bait in and see if we can get some barbel. Right, let's have a look at what barbel eat and what we're going to lay down there. There's all sorts of flavours here, but we'll talk about those later. Let's just actually get the feed out into the swim. I'm not going to fish at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put this hemp, casters and luncheon meat out into the swim, leave it, let the fish get onto the bait, let them get confident. If I put the bait in, chuck in straight away, I might even get a barbel, I might get a chub. But when the fish have come on, they're very apprehensive at first, and what can happen, you hook one and you can spook the shoal. Many a time you'll hear anglers say, I went into the swim, caught a fish straight off, then it was dead all day. Well, this is the most important bit now, the preparation, throw it into the swim, get the fish confident, and then come back and fish. All it is just hemp, casters and luncheon meat. That's what I'm going to be fishing on. I might not fish on the hemp today, we'll see later, but I'll certainly be fishing on the caster and on the meat. I would imagine today, because we had a cold snap last night and it's a very, very low river, that probably casters will be the best bet. But I'll go down on sizes of meat. People think if you're going to fish the meat, you've got to fish a great big lump. You can fish very, very small lumps if you want to. The colder, the shallower, the clearer it is, the smaller the bait. So let's just put the bait in now, and then we'll see if they'll come onto it. It's a simple task. Now, the thing you want to make sure you do is scatter the hemp, because at the end of the day, there's no need at all for this to be in a tight pattern. I hear a lot of anglers say, get it in a tight pattern. Well, if there's a lot of barbel out there, to be perfectly honest, if they're on a tight pattern, all you do is get a load of line bites. Now, I'm going to put this in by hand at first. That's just on the flow over the ledge. Now what I'm going to do, let's get the old catapult and put some further over. So where we go from there. If you look on the corner there, you can see those two stumps that have obviously come down with the floods, I would imagine, over the last couple of years. And what we're going to do is try to get bait, a nice bed of hemp around that area, which I can't reach by hand. So let's see if we can reach it by catapult. There we go. you just can't put enough of this stuff in. For the last 2 seasons on the Teme and the Severn, I've been having a lot of 8-pound barbel up to 11-pound, and my fishing companion has actually taken them to 12.8, and as a standard procedure we'll use up to 8 pints straight into the swim straight away. Now a lot of anglers would be afraid to put that much bait in, but I can assure you that 8 pints of hemp in casters is absolutely nothing to either a shoal of fish, whether it be half a dozen or 20 fish, absolutely nothing to those fish to eat in a very, very short time. And if there's a couple of barbel, like down the lower end of this river, and indeed in the Severn, then you only need 2 or 3 fish and they'll get rid of all this. Just have a close look at it. I mean, that quantity can be eaten by just a few fish. So put the bed on, and then, as I say, we're going to leave the swim. We're going to let those fish get confident on it. Another couple of shots over there. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put a few pouchfuls in that slack over there as well, because I've no doubt at all there'll be fish in that slack as well as the pitch down there. We got the mallards taking interest, so I'll just get it in quick. Yeah, they're not getting the hen, but they'll get the luncheon meat. So I'll have to stop at this moment and get rid of them. As you can see, you get 10 mallards and all they're doing is eating my luncheon meat on the way down. So we'll leave it, let it settle down. This is a typical barbel swim, but it's not the only type of barbel swim. There's a lot of different types of barbel swims, all types on this river. So let's go and have a walk upstream and let's show you the various types of barbel swims. Okay? Right, on this 200-yard stretch, we've got about every barbel swim you could imagine. If we look up the river, what we've got, where the old gents fish in there, cracking swim, what we've got is, to quote Trevor West, if you look at shallows like this, if you go above the shallows and you can't see the bottom, there'll be barbel. If you go below the shallows, you can't see the bottom, you've got barbel. And that old gent's got it weighed up, he's stuck in there, and it's a good swim. I mean, you've got trees, you've got the depths over the far side. Hey, up, he's in. Actually, yes. We've just said that, and he's in. Looks like a small chub, probably. I don't know, though. It's pulling his string a bit. Yeah, he's pulling his string. Yeah, it's going upstream. Ah, that's a barbel. That's a barbel, no doubt. Yeah. Oh, it's probably... Yeah, look, you can see the fin. That's one nice thing about a barbel. You can always tell when it's a barbel. It always sort of sticks his fin up. You can tell the barbel. It's only a small fish. Look at his fight. He's going to land it, but he's pulling his string really well. Then he goes over the net. Yeah. That's a lovely fish. Yeah, that's Matey's day. And that's what people come to the team for. Catch fish like that. That's Matey's day. Anyway, as we were saying, that's an ideal swim, and we couldn't have more proof than that with the old chap doing the business there. Right, the shallows here. If we look at the shallows, it's only very, very shallow. I mean, we're talking about 6 or 7 inches deep. Admittedly, it's lower than normal, but even as low as this, barbel on the night will make the way out of the holes there and out of the holes up here and work the way over the stones. And if we look at these rocks and stones, there's all sorts of goodies. They'll come onto here, and there's all sorts of life that they'll suck. And actually, if you look in the clear waters and you walk up and you know what you're looking for, you can actually see areas of stones that are completely clear. All the rest have got weed on, and believe it or not, the small stones have actually gone into the barbel's mouth. They suck all the algae and weed and various insect life off there and eat it. And it's not a very good place to fish. But at night, if you know how to fish it, then you could take a few fish out of here. But don't disclose a swim like this, especially another about month when there's another foot of water on here. Late evening, bingo, there's a lot of barbel here. Coming off the shallows, we see that rock protruding there. Just below there, we've got deeper water that runs right under the trees. Barbel will be under those trees, even in 2 foot of water. And as you feed in the hempen casters, you can actually see the gold flash. Tremendous spots those are. You'd feed right up here, so it just drops under the trees with a feeder or just a straight ledger. You put it under, and believe it or not, in that little area, there could be 20, 30, even 50 pound of barbel. One thing I would say here is, if there's a long stretch of deeper water, that can hold 50, 60, 70, 80 pound of barbel, whatever. If you want to try and find a big barbel, sometimes it's best just to find a little tiny spot that would hold very few barbel. Okay, it could hold 5 pounders, but it could hold just one fish. It's made its home, and they do make homes under trees, and until it's hooked, it'll stay there for a long, long time. So if you're after a big barbel, sometimes to fish a very, very small swim, only a few feet of depth can get you a big fish. Now, okay, as you can see, the river's actually in a terrible state. Although it looks beautiful, the river is at an all-time low. Certainly, I've been fishing the river for 20-odd years, and I've never seen it this low before. But one of the advantages of seeing it this low is I've got a notebook, and what I do, get the old pen, paper, and I'll take notes of areas like this. Now, this area here, although there's no water in now, as you can see, what you've got to remember is when the river comes up, and if you look at these trees here, you'll see the river's been right up to under those trees. And what'll happen, this will be an enormous slack. And most of the fish population will be in this slack. Now, you'll be fishing up there, and you'll be fishing in, well, I'm 6 foot tall, you'll be fishing in 8 foot of water, and the barbel will be down here. Oh dear, look at this. I suppose we'll have to mention it. I don't know why anglers do it. That can only be anglers' litter. You're not even supposed to bring cans onto the bank. If you're going to cut your meat, do as I do. Bring it in your container, your bait container, or in a bag. If you bring it in a plastic bag, don't throw that on the floor, because a plastic bag can do as much damage to a cow There's this, in fact, probably more damage. That can choke it. This can cut the animal's hoof. So, for God's sake, take this home with you. Don't just throw it on the deck. And if you see it, don't just leave it there and say, well, it's not mine. Actually, take it home with you. But as I say, when that's up, we're going to have barbel sitting here on these little ledges. Imagine we can get barbel sitting here, the current's coming round and they'll sit here. You're slinging your bait out, they'll just move out and take your bait. These are superb swims, absolutely superb. And when the river's up, it's no good trying to look at then and imagine what's here then. You won't. Even take photos. I remember Andy Orme saying that he took photos in the summer. And why not? When you can look back at that in the winter and actually know what this swim looks like without watering. And if ever you've wondered why you lose fish in a snag, imagine when the water's up and you're fishing down there and all of a sudden you hook a fish and a big barbel, 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 pounds that in this river go under those snags, you've got no chance. People say they use 12-pound line and they got a chance. Believe me, if you use 50-pound line, you're not going to get anything out of there. Okay, those are the swims. So now let's get back down, have a look at the gear, cast out, and see if we can catch a few fish. Right, we'll put this tin back where it should have been in the first place, back home. I'm going to throw that in the bin when I get home, and then no animal life's going to get injured. So, right, let's start fishing. Nice and comfortable. The old just a level chair, sloping bank, fold the one leg down, and we're nice and level. And we can adjust that for any bank. Get that. Get a rod rest, couple of rod rests, front rest, and a back rest. One of the problems of the team, a lot of rock, so make sure it's deep, because when a barbel takes, we can pull the rod rest literally out of the bank. Just put that one there. Oh, there we go. Useful bit of kit this. The old sling. I can put rods already made up so that I can arrive at any time and start fishing. I'm going to start using the feeder first, so we'll just put that there. You notice I've got on the end there a bit of pipe lagging, just protects the tips against trees what we're walking through. I'll just put that there, put the rod. First thing, old Dick Walker said it years ago, and I've lived by it ever since. Before you set up, make sure the landing net's up. The amount of times that they say, well, we'll have a sling out before we get the landing net. You hook a fish first time, first cast out, and then you're trying to get your landing net set up and you lose your fish. So make sure you get that landing net set up first. Right, dead easy to take the hook out. Unravel it, away you go. And there you go. I'm set up. Minutes. I can actually be fishing why some people are still setting up. I'm using a hair rig, which is a large hook and a small hook off on a very fine hair, so that the barbel will take the small hook with the bait and then the big hook will go in the mouth as well. Very simple setup. I've got a reel, match type size reel, loaded with 6-pound line. A rod. This particular rod is one that I've been mucking about with myself actually. It's a carbon Kevlar rod and I've just spliced in a tip. It's not a particularly long tip, and the reason is that not necessarily for indication. All I've wanted it to do, if a lot of the line bites I get, I wanted to hit the line and not hit a stiff tip. I just wanted to hit the line and fold like that so it doesn't feel the line. So it's not for indication on this. Indication on barbel fishing is 3 inches below the spigot. That bends about a foot and that's the bite. Well, I've got 6-pound line down to here. Feeder, bead, swivel, piece of 12-pound line there, and that's just to be very stiff to stop tangles when the hook length's about 15 inches, foot 15 inches long, and that's it, that's the rig. There are a lot more complicated rigs and there are better rigs for anti-tangles. Some of the match anglers use the loop system, and that is a very good system, but when you have to big fish, I don't like that many knots, and on that particular rig there's up to about 4 to 5 knots. And when you're fishing for fish that could be 11, 12, 13, 14 pounds even in this river and in the Severn, then it can show up any weak links, and knots are weak links. So it's as fewer knots as possible. Right, let's get a couple of casters. I'm going to be fishing the caster because, to be honest, it was cold last night and I'd rather use a small bait. I'll try a single caster than the piece of luncheon meat. Luncheon meat is my favourite actually here, but let's just try this first of all, and then we'll go over to the meat because it is warming up. The sun's just about starting to come out, but it's starting to get humid, it's starting to get warm. That water will soon get warm over the shallows, and the water will soon warm up. Right, I've put the hemp in just above it, so let's just go on the end of that there, bang, in we go. Right, dropped off the edge, that's where the fish will be, down to the bottom, sit nice and comfy, here we go. There you go, and let's see if we can get a take. Oh look, knock straight away. Those are going to be small fish, or could be liners off barbel, you never know. Just little rattles all the time. Straight away on the casters. Could be chub, could be minnows, could be all sorts of things. Look, I'm really waiting for a wallop round if it's a barbel. Keep striking at those sort of things, and all you do is you keep bringing the line under them. Sometimes you can foul hook a barbel, and you just, if you're starting to get a shoal on there, you can actually disperse them and lose them. And in these conditions, we really can't afford to do that because it could be hard anyway in these clear conditions. That seems to be hung over a bit. I don't know if there's got a chance of a minnow being stuck on that. That is one of the problems actually on... no. That is one of the problems on... in the summer and autumn months, is the minnows in the small river. But then all of a sudden you can get a big bang round, and there goes the barbel. Try 2 casters this time. They just... keep feeding the swim. Nice and active. There should be fish on there. It's whether they're barbel. Right on the spot of the end. Don't just keep casting all round the swim. Try to keep onto a spot, at least for a few casts. If you decide to move, then move. But I mean, don't just keep casting all round the swim. Little knocks there. It's sort of a standard progression on the hemp, that is. You get the small fish, then you get chub, then you get the barbel. But that's rattling a bit. Let's just... Yep. Right. Feels like small fish. Slightly running upstream there. But it was a roach at first. It's not a barbel, it's not powerful enough. But it's... oh. Wherever it is, it's pulling. Ah. Oh, it's a chub. Nice little chublet. Look at that. There you go. When you're barbel fishing, you don't just catch barbel. One of the hungriest feeders in the river, the old chubberoony. There he is. Small chub. Beautiful fish. Come the winter, I'll be happy to catch a fish like that when I'm fishing for the chub. Hook out easily. Oh, look at this mark here. Looks like that's been grabbed by a pike. You see that? Look at that. And the fin split as well. Let's have a look at the other side. Yeah, the slight marks on the other side as well. That's been grabbed by a very, very big pike. There is some good pike actually in the river. Fish up to sort of 15 or 16, they're caught quite regular. That's a nice little chub. Let's put him back in the water. Don't let them swim off until they're plenty of life. Look, there you go. I'm not fishing a match today, so I'm not using a net. There really is no need for a net if you're not fishing a match, especially on barbel and chub, any fish for that matter, because I've no need to keep them, have I? I've not got to weigh them in at the end of the day. So, let's go out again. That's a pretty common thing. First chuck, you get chub or something like that. Chub, roach, minnow. Let's see if we can get another pull. That's stuck. A feeder. That's better. Good job I've not got false teeth. There we go. That's just stuck on the top. That's from landing the fish. Back out again. Same spot. Bang. Plop. Straight in. Right at the end of that point. Nicely does it. Keep the that was a bit short actually. That's better. Keep the hemp casters and meat going in. I might go to the meat later. The only one thing about chub, if you notice the mouth on that chub, sort of a pound chub, pound and a quarter chub, I'll pick up the biggest piece of meat, whatever bait you put out. So with a bit of luck, I'll just keep feeding this and the barbel will come in and move those off. Because the chub in here, the average chub will be ½ pound to a pound, where the average barbel will be a couple of pound, £3, and they'll get them off the hemp, and with a bit of luck they'll move them off and we'll be able to catch some barbel. Keep it going in. Don't just sit there. Keep putting the hemp and casters in. keeping them interested. And also make sure you've got some casters on the hook. Getting a bit excited there, trying to cast out without putting any bait on. There you go. Pull to see if it's untangled. Same spot again, look. Feather it down, bonk, straight on there. And again. Oh, that was on the drop. Ooh. Oh, yeah, that's definitely a barbel. You tell it a million miles from a chub. I don't think it's a big fish, but oof, it's a barbel. Oh, it's come off. I can't believe that. Oh, that was definitely a barbel and it's come off. No, still they come on there. Not such bloody good news, to be honest, having a barbel come off at an early stage, but that's the way it goes. I don't think it was a big fish, but it has still been our first barbel, wouldn't it? Definitely a barbel, thumping away, keeping low. Another couple of casters on. Some more in. Through the ritual again. If there's a few fish on, it didn't feel a big fish, and usually fish that size don't hang around on their own, so we'll just put it back out again. Same spot. Shoot out a few more baits and see if we've got one silly enough to hang on the end again. Right, at least we've got a few barbling, thank God for that. Just sit down and wait for the old take now. Oh, look at the old cows come down to drink there. It's not the traditional cow drink, but they can get down there and drink. Lovely sight. One of the nice things about fishing the Teme Valley. Wildlife and domesticated life by the look of it. Fabulous place. Really is a fabulous place. All we need now is a few barbel. Come on, you devils, try. Come on, pull it round. Just lift up. Sometimes if you move it, you can get a take like that one. Yep, that's a barbel. Coming towards me as well, like a steam train. Coming upstream. Look at this. That didn't run away, thank God. It just ran right towards me. And now it's going to start playing up. Always tell a barbel. Not a big fish, small fish. It's a barbel. Come on, my old son. Ooh. In the weed. And we got a barbel. First of the day. A beautiful fish. It's only a small one. It doesn't matter. It's a lovely fish. Let's take the hook out and we'll just have a absolutely gorgeous fish. You see the damage there? That can be done by keep nets, and that's why I don't like using keep nets. 4 barbels. There you go. 2 there, 2 at the front. The rubbery lips. That's how he feeds. Brings his head down. His lips down, over the bait, look, sucks it in, buff, in goes the bait, you've got him. Lovely fins, lovely colour. In fact, the Teme fish are actually a better colour than the Severn fish. But let's put him back. That came steaming towards me. Lovely coloured fish. Away you go. He's gone. Lovely fish. Let's get back out. We've started small, but it's a barbel. As much as a barbel as a 10-pound barbel. Let's get out there again. Casters. I'll have one more cast with the caster, and then I'll go on a big piece of meat. You never know. Sometimes a bigger bait can produce a bigger fish, but not always. In conditions like this, it's just a matter of getting takes. And we've just had a take, back out. Same spot note. Okay, there we go again. Keep putting that feed in all the time. Keep putting that feed in. If there's a herd of those small barbel down there, they can see, they could see a gallon of bait off, no problem. So I mean, just keep putting it in. Hopefully a bigger fish will come on, and hopefully we'll get a take from it. But if we can just keep getting takes and we can just keep getting fish on a day like this, we'll be doing well. So let's wait for another take. I think we're on for a few takes. There's obviously a few fish on there. Keep that bait going in. Also important to keep that bait going in, because we've already had a chub, we've had a barbel, there's fish out there, they're eating it, so the bait's got to keep going in if we want to keep them there, or they'll probably live there all their lives, but I mean, if we want to keep them eating, then we've got to keep the bait going in. I mentioned earlier, if we look at the flavours while we're waiting for a take, I fry my luncheon meat, and I fry it two sides of the cube. That makes it easier to stop on the hair or the hook. It makes it much harder in the hot weather. And then all I do, I simply put it in a plastic bag, pour a bit of flavour. Some are sweet flavours like scopic, some are sour flavours like red crab. Pour it into the plastic bag, blow the plastic bag up, shake it around, flavour gets on the meat, and away you go. Absolutely super way. One of the... I accidentally missed that one. That's kiting. Don't feel like a barbel. Swimming upstream. Here it comes. Definitely not a barbel. Feels like another chub again. Yeah, it is a chub. Look at that in the clear water. Lovely. It's a chub. The chub are taking a liking to my baits more than the barbel. That's why I'm going to go on the meat. When I was talking about those in your cup, when I was talking about those flavours, one of the real advantages of the flavour is he's not in this water. I mean, it's so clear, it's visual anyway. But when the water comes up and it's really clear, then there you go. When it's really coloured, the fish home in onto the smell. That red crab is an absolute fantastic flavour, and in another month's time, when the river's got a bit of colour and a bit of height, then the barbel home in onto that red crab, or mussel flavour or salmon flavour, any of those flavours. But anyway, another nice chub. Not a massive fish, but a beautiful fish. Nice little average. I mean, it's fantastic that, sort of about 7 miles from Worcester, we're in such marvellous scenery, catching such marvellous fish. There she goes. Or he goes, whatever. Away she goes. See you when you're about 5 pounds bigger. Okay, right. Let's now go over to the meat, because I've had one small barbel. There's barbel out there. So let's try and stop catching those chub. It's a shame really, because as I said earlier, in a month's time I'd have been pleased with those. So right, let's take another rod out and let's get on the meat. This is an interesting rig actually, because what this is virtually a carp rig, heavy lead. Get the rod set up. There you go. Fairly powerful rod. No spliced in tip this time. The rig is fairly simple. All the carp lads will use it as standard, but over the last 2 or 3 years I've had sort of incredible results on the Severn and indeed on the Teme. 1.5 ounce lead, which I don't need 1.5 ounce, but that helps the hooking. It's almost a self-hooking rig. That's on a ledger bead, running, free running. A bead to stop it sticking to the swivel. Then I've got a silkworm length, hook length, size 6 hook with about 1.5 inches hair. There you go. Simplicity. All we've got to do now is put a piece of meat on. Got to go and get me gear. There we go. There's all my surgeon's kit. Let's get my piece of the meat, fried meat. There you go. On. Pass it through the meat in the centre, in the loop of the hair, like so. Pull the hair through, like so. And then, that's a little idea that I nicked from a good mate of mine. That's spaghetti, raw spaghetti. Just nip off a little bit, put it into the eye of the hair, and I use that as a hair stop. So there you go. Lovely piece of meat. Hopefully that could pick up a better fish. We'll go to the same area. We know there's fish down there, so let's get down to the same area. In you go, right onto the snag. Couldn't have done that better if I'd have tried. There you go. Just have a look in here actually. Just a quick look. I've got everything there. We won't be float fishing today. It's not a float fishing peg, but I've got everything. I've got threaders, needles I need, my scissors, extra forceps, PVA tape. I use that to make stringers up for the luncheon meat. If it's a very tight swim and I want the luncheon meat to sink in there by my hook bait, I just put the luncheon meat on there and that dissolves. Scissors, a diamond file for doing my hooks, sharpening my hooks. On a river like this that's got a lot of rocks, you need to sharpen your hooks. Another pair of scissors. Just a nice little piece of kit. Keep it there, nice and tidy by the side of me. And everything's at hand. Okay, let's wait for another bite. And, hate to be boring, but here you go. Bait in again. If there's loads of chub in there, which it seems to be, they're gobbling up. Let's see if we can perhaps get a barbel on the meat. There must be a few on there. As conditions are so clear, whether big barbel will actually come on the hemp, I don't know. the sun's come up now, that's penetrating the water right to the bottom. And although it'll scare all barbel, you tend to get your 1 pounders, 2 pounders, 3 pounders. They'll nip out. They're greedy little fish, and they'll take your baits where the bigger fish will perhaps stop in. I mean, we're still in with a chance, but the conditions are not looking good for a big fish. Just at this moment in time, I'll be very satisfied with just a barbel of any kind. So let's sit down and wait. It's a longer wait on the meat. You're not having so many knocks, although I am having little knocks there. Even the minnows and all sorts of fish will tap the meat, but it's usually a slower game, but better fish. Oh, here we go. Yeah, it's old Barbus. You can tell him from the old chub. That's old Barbus. And he's kited for that tree. They're not the cleverest fish in the world, but here he comes as soon as he sees me in the old clear water. Keep low. Oh, he's got weed on him. One of the good things about weed is it covers them up, and yeah, look at him, beauty. That's what we've come for. Another barbel, lovely fish. Carp were my favourite fish for years, but when you look at these, look at that. People moan about weed, and I admit you get a better fight off a fish if it doesn't go in the weeds, but at this time of the year, to be honest, if the weed, it gets round it and it actually stops them fighting. It covers the eyes up. And there you go. Look at that. A beauty. Absolutely beautiful. Oh! Steady on me, old son. Fin perfect. Absolutely fin perfect. Gorgeous. Let's just put him back. Right. Put him in. Face him up against the flow, which there's very some little flow here. A tip, keep him away from the dirty water when you wade into the water. There he goes. Wait till he gets nice and strong. Wait till he gets strong. I've had big barbel and sometimes I've had to wait 20 minutes before they go. Make sure they're nice and strong before they go, because in these conditions, low water conditions, low oxygen conditions, you could have a fish in distress. There he goes. Now he'll be okay. See ya. Right, let's put another piece of meat out and catch again. Look at this. Weed for fun. But that's why they're there. There's lots of food in there. And now with my hemp and other goodies in there, they think that's part of the food chain. Clear the weed off. Get another piece of meat. And why I get another piece of meat, let's just have a look, a quick look at a couple of other rigs. After you've been barbling a few times, you'll come up with your own specials. What I've done there's actually hemp seed if we'd decided to fish on hemp seed, there it is, on a hair, exactly the same as I've showed you before, but I've actually glued hemp seed on. That's gone dry. I would have done that when I was going to start fishing, but I've done that to show you today, and the hemp's gone dry. But that can catch a lot of fish. And just a couple of others. One thing that's becoming popular, particularly on other systems, just getting popular on the Severn. There's a double boilie on a Drennan bayonet. If we pull the boilies off, look, it's a whipped on bayonet. Absolutely super idea, just coming out by Peter Drennan. And there is one with a single boilie on, and that will catch a lot of barbel. Different materials, that's Christan multi-strand. There's all sorts of materials, Dacron. I don't particularly use Dacron. I like the silkworm braided leaders, and that's what I'm going to stick on the hook now and see if we can get another one. So, another piece of meat, break it off. I've fried it on both sides, but if you notice, I've kept it at that length, so when I split it, I've actually got the flavour of the meat coming out. I wouldn't fry them like that in the size that I use, because the frying would seal all the flavour. So there we go. Let's sit down. Forceps back on. Here we go. People say the air rig's too complicated. I don't know what's complicated about it. I mean, it's just stick it through the loop, pull it through, small stick of spaghetti, through the loop, pull it through, and there it is. What's hard about that? Nothing at all. Right on the pointer there again. That's where those barbel seem to be shoaled up. So out we go again, smack on. You know, you'd have thought I'd have done that before, wouldn't you? Right. Let's put a few pieces of meat out. I've got a catapult. That one was about 5 foot on the bank, and that one's about a foot on this bank. 1 out of 3. Oh, getting good now. There you go. Thank God there's no cows over that side. They've been in some trouble. That's it. Right. And for another one. Another barbel. Barbus. It's another small fish, but looks like they're shoaled up enough caught for a shoal of small fish, but I can guarantee you one thing. Oh, that's moving towards me, look at that. Guarantee you one thing. I ain't going yet because there's better fish in here, I know there is. Oh, look. Here she goes. Well, this is what Teme's about. Catching beautiful fish in a beautiful area. I've caught some big barbel in some awful places, and I'll be honest, I've not enjoyed it as much as catching these barbel in an area like this. to spend a day in a valley as beautiful as the River Teme, catching fit fish like this, well, that's what it's all about. Put that back. There you go. Yeah, that one's as frisky as hell. There you go. Okie dokie. Another bait on. Although there's only small fish in there at the moment, also I'm only catching small fish at the moment, it is a peg that's produced big fish in the past, this season indeed. So I'm not giving up. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop on and I'm going to put a hook in a big one. Perhaps this could be the cast, you never know. I ain't really bothered. I got all the time in the world. I wouldn't say that this is a struggle fishing a place like this. Out again, look. Down you go. I don't care if I've got to stop till dark. I'm hoping a big barbel's got my name on.